At the mouth of the Guayas River lies the city of Guayaquil. It is the economic capital of Ecuador with 2.5 million inhabitants. Guayaquil is known for its historic center, colonial churches, and a must-see tourist attraction, the Iguana Park. But it's all a facade. Because just like the rest of the country, the city has fallen into the hands of drug traffickers.
They just killed someone about 5 minutes away from here. Look, is that a bot? Yes, it's a bot.
Tomas is a reporter. He just received this message from a fellow journalist. A shooting has taken place in broad daylight in the middle of the street, killing one person. The first journalists are already at the scene, even though the police are only just beginning to cordon off the area.
Get behind the yellow tape that we're going to put up over there. No one can be over here without authorization. What you can see happening over there is a daily occurrence in Guayaquil. This is one of the most dangerous cities in the world.
In 2023, there were 2,500 homicides in Guayaquil, which equates to 7 per day. People are being killed in the streets, and it no longer shocks anyone.
It happens every day, every day. Bodies, deaths, attacks, kidnappings. We are constantly subjected to extortion. That's what life is like in this city. The gangs are behind it. Killings here, killings there, killings everywhere. I don't know what we Ecuadorians can do about it anymore.
I think we all need weapons to defend ourselves. Murders have become so frequent in Guayaquil that Tomas's colleague is blasé about them.
There was a time when you could cover 5, 7, 8 or more deaths in a single shift. We didn't know what to do anymore. Where do we even report them? In any case, we didn't have enough space to put them in the news. I like this photo a lot. It clearly captures what's happening at the moment. What do you know about the delinquents? It seems like they abandoned their car and got into a different vehicle.
Murders now seem like a trivial affair in Guayaquil because in the last 5 years, Ecuador has become the most dangerous state in Latin America. Ecuador is a small country situated between Colombia and Peru. A few years ago, it was a tranquil haven. Tourists from all over the world came to visit its breathtaking landscapes. Nestled between the Andes and the Amazon rainforest, Ecuador used to be one of the most peaceful countries in Latin America. But after a severe economic crisis and budget cuts on the justice and security systems,
sin armamento, sin equipamiento, no podemos ser nadie acá.
Ecuador fell into the hands of drug traffickers. The country has in fact become the world's leading platform for drug exports to Europe and the United States. More than 220 tons of cocaine were seized in 2023. 22 gangs run by Mexican, Colombian, and Albanian drug cartels are spreading terror throughout the country. Kidnappings, torture, and ransom, bus robberies, and execution-style murders. The gangs are engaged in a ruthless turf war to take control of the drug trade.
Ellos degollan, cortan cabezas, cortan miembros del cuerpo y dejan arrojados en un canal.
7,600 homicides in a year. That's one death every few hours. It all starts in the prisons. They are the sites of massacres and riots. Prison guards are taken hostage and executed.
Por favor, señor presidente, ayúdenos.
To demonstrate the extent of their power, the gangs even attacked national television journalists live on air. But to combat the gangs, in November 2023, the Ecuadorians elected a new leader. 35-year-old Daniel Noboa, heir to the largest fortune in Ecuador, became the youngest ever president-elect of the republic. He has declared war on the criminal groups and has granted full power to the police and the army.
We will not negotiate with terrorists and we will not rest until peace has been returned to the people of Ecuador.
To fulfill this promise, he has deployed 22,000 military personnel and 60,000 police officers on the ground to face 50,000 gang members, to combat criminals in the Amazon rainforest. The army has enlisted the help of elite soldiers known as the Jungle Demons.
Hallelujah, protect your country, Ecuador.
Journey into the most violent country in Latin America, where gangs are trying to replace the state. This morning, we have a meeting in a secure, hidden location in the middle of a freight zone. A police unit is getting ready to conduct a raid.
There will be two teams. Hidalgo and I will be in charge of the underwater inspection, and Ruiz's team will handle the inspection on board.
Sergeant Alexander has completed 21 years service as an operational diver. He is part of a special mobile anti-drugs unit, and his preferred area of investigation is the port of Guayaquil. There are thousands of containers waiting to be loaded. 80% of the country's exports travel through here, among which there are enormous quantities of cocaine. Most of the time, the drugs are hidden in shipments of bananas, the emblematic fruit of Ecuador. It's a popular commodity for traffickers due to the sheer volume of shipments. 6.5 million tons of bananas are exported to Europe and the United States every year. This Bahamian cargo ship is headed to London and Rotterdam. It is transporting bananas, so it will be thoroughly inspected.
We are the anti-drugs police. We are going to carry out an inspection, so I need someone to accompany us.
According to the police, the crew has not been warned of the inspection. Usually, drug traffickers have accomplices near the port authorities and on board the ships.
The traffickers use these types of ships without the transporters knowing. Did you know that?
Yeah, maybe.
Do you know anyone who has experienced this?
I heard stories, but with my personal, I haven't been. Yeah.
The ship will be inspected all over, from the deck to the hold. The police are on the lookout for any suspicious details.
This could be a sign. What are you looking for? False bottoms. I'm looking for hiding places. There are plenty of places where they can hide drugs.
Nothing on this side, but the search continues. Sergeant Alexander sends in the divers.
Start on the starboard side and work your way down to 15 feet.
The traffickers sometimes hide drugs underneath the ship's hull and near the propellers.
We have previously found torpedoes in rectangular boxes, of course with illegal substances hidden inside.
The ports may have turned into drug trafficking hubs, but the contamination of the cargo usually takes place further upstream, before the containers are loaded. Contamination also occurs at the hands of pirates who storm the ships or who use handcrafted submarines. According to the police, more than 220 metric tons of cocaine destined for North America and Europe were seized in 2023. A €12 billion loss in revenue for the cartels. But that's only a drop in the bucket for these drug lords who have become real economic giants. With this money, the cartels have divided Guayaquil, relying on 22 gangs that are engaged in a turf war. In just a few years, the city has turned into a deadly area for the residents. The police now depend on the 2,000 cameras stationed throughout the city to intervene as quickly as possible.
You need to move to help them, otherwise notify another unit that's closer.
Major Juan Marcos, director of this surveillance center, has just witnessed someone being kidnapped off the street, a method that's becoming more and more widespread amongst the gangs.
Is that live? This kidnapping is happening right now. It's live. Is it a kidnapping? Here, you can see the police unit arriving at the scene in real time.
To identify the attackers, he watches the footage again. 4 men confront a helmeted motorcyclist and violently snatch his phone before dragging him away. Two of the kidnappers then leave on motorbikes. Kidnappings happen every day in Ecuador. It has even become a specialty of the cartels. To fight against these criminals, the country is now deploying its best men on the ground.
Keep a lookout for motorbikes. Eyes everywhere, 360 degrees. This unit will stand by for support, and we will intervene with my comrades.
This morning, Lieutenant Colonel Roberto Santamaria is preparing an operation to arrest a man suspected of multiple kidnappings. A former Special Forces officer, this senior officer now manages a territory of 450,000 residents dominated by 3 gangs who each have their own signature kill method.
For example, Los Tigreones shoot 3 bullets to the head. It's lethal. 3 bullets to the head and they leave the victim for dead. When we see a person who has been killed in this way, we know that it's Los Tigreones. Los Fatales, they're a little more barbaric. They slit throats, they cut off heads and body parts, and they throw everything into a canal. Los Aguilas, they cover the body with bullets. They get close to the victim and shoot them all over. Each gang has its own method.
These ultra-violent methods were inherited from the Mexican cartels. The gangs have turned into armies.
In these sectors, we will encounter some of these terrorist structures. We will be operating in the most violent part of Ecuador.
Last year, there were 566 drug trafficking-related deaths here. Each intervention is risky.
We always work to the worst-case scenario. All the operations in this district are considered war operations. Lots of the residents here are informants. They spread the word via walkie-talkie. Did you hear that? That was an alert. They're screaming because they're giving us information that we're entering.
The colonel plans to act as quickly as possible to arrest the kidnapper.
They have often thrown dynamite at us. They throw any kind of explosive device at us. So what we do is we go in with immediate violence to gain the upper hand.
They arrive at the target, a house that the criminals are trying to pass off as a drug rehabilitation center. The colonel wants to arrest the manager, who is suspected of kidnapping people.
On the ground. Get on the ground. Hands behind your back.
Against the brutality of the attack, everyone drops to the ground.
I don't know what's going on.
The manager's wife pretends not to understand anything. All the occupants are searched. The police officers have found the man they were looking for. Even though we are filming, they do not hesitate to mishandle him.
Don't try to be smart. Do you hear me? Why are you hitting me? I didn't do anything. Don't crush my fingers.
A complaint had already been filed against him for human kidnapping.
Don't kick me. Silence. Spread his legs. And you, put your hands behind your back.
But his wife defends him and denies everything.
We aren't doing anything wrong here. We live here and we help people who are addicted to drugs. Nobody is mistreated here. Nobody has done anything wrong. There's no more.
The police officers take the suspect away, but his wife has no intention of letting him leave.
Hey, why are you taking my husband? He hasn't done anything wrong. Don't take him. Why are you taking my husband? Why are you taking him?
The colonel gives the order to leave the sector. The situation risks getting a lot worse if heavily armed traffickers arrive. But something unexpected is about to happen right in front of us. In the background, a man in a green t-shirt appears to be forcibly restrained by other men. He manages to free himself. The others let him go because the police are still there. He pretends to walk calmly towards the street corner before running to the police.
Wait, stop there. Help, they kidnapped me. Whose phone is this? He took it from the woman at the clinic. He's alive. The guys over there kidnapped me.
Since the beginning of the year, there have already been 210 kidnapping cases recorded in this area of Guayaquil.
These are places where people are held against their will. In this case, it's to demand a ransom from their relatives.
The searches continue. This time, the investigators are looking for a dangerous drug trafficker.
Where is your brother? He's not here. I live here with my mom and my niece.
However, the police officers discover a luxurious suite with a bathroom that stands out in this poor neighborhood. There are also figurines representing criminal gangs and the remnants of a ritual that don't go unnoticed.
This is called the altar of death. They burn this in along with all these other symbols. Actually, it serves to protect them from death when they are operating.
The killers leave offerings here before committing their crimes.
It's witchcraft.
The search continues. The police officer makes another interesting discovery. On this tablet, there are pictures of the most powerful gang in Ecuador.
This is from the Los Coneros syndicate. No, it's just a Facebook picture, that's all. Yes, I can see it's from Facebook, but it's still Los Coneros. But I can download what I want on Facebook. Everyone does it.
The young man is cleared, but the colonel still gives him a warning.
Be good. Don't do anything stupid. Darn it, fall into that mess. Go on, bye.
The special unit's operation is finished. The outcome: 3 perpetrators. The first arrested for kidnapping, the second in red for holding up bus passengers with this revolver, and the third arrested for drug trafficking with around 100 bags of marijuana. Daniel Noboa's repressive policies demand that good results are publicized. So after each arrest, a press conference is called.
They claimed that it was a drug rehabilitation clinic, but this unauthorized structure was used to recruit people for organized crime.
With their aggressive raids, the colonel claims to have reduced criminal activity in his sector by 40%. Making the streets more secure is one thing, but the biggest challenge of all is regaining control of the prisons, which are often the scene of violent riots.
They are burning down the prison. We are in control here. We're finally free.
So, President Noboa has made it a priority.
The government has taken action to regain control of the prison. Peace that has been lost in the last few years.
To achieve this, he decided to send in the army. We got permission to enter La Roca, considered to be the most violent prison in the country. There are 12,000 people detained here. To monitor them properly, security is at its maximum. When we arrive, approximately 100 soldiers and police officers are conducting a search of the prison. Everyone has to go through a thorough security check, and bulletproof vests must be worn.
De este lado así. Frente. Sin moverse hasta que pase la bala, ¿ok?
There are several security gates and even a scanner. The door opens onto an inner courtyard where army tanks are stationed in case of a possible mutiny.
He's in charge of the maximum security area. We will continue on with him.
We discover 100 prisoners lying on the ground, monitored by 30 armed soldiers.
The army and the police have just completed an intervention. They were looking for weapons and explosives.
These men are considered the most dangerous criminals in the country.
They are here for rape, murder, or drug trafficking.
These men belong to 22 different gangs. Most are from Los Choneros and Los Lobos, but there are also men from Los Tigres, Los Tiburones, and Los Lagartos, all identifiable from their tattoos. These gangs are at war with one another. But since the army took over, they have been forced to coexist, subject to the same regime. One prisoner tries to gesture the sign from his gang, Los Lobos, but he quickly changes his mind. To regain control, the army regularly searches the cells. Mattresses are overturned, furniture and partitions are broken. Everything has just been turned upside down by the soldiers. A few weeks ago, the soldiers found weapons, explosives, mobile phones, and drugs in here. The final cell at the end of the corridor belonged to the country's public enemy #1.
Jose Adolfo Macias Villagran, alias Fito, stayed here. He was transferred here from another prison. He was detained here until the start of January when he escaped.
It was from inside this cell that Fito, the leader of around 8,000 men, conducted his operations and assassinations. On the ceiling is a hand-painted fresco with a turtle as its emblem, signaling his allegiance to the Mexican Sinaloa cartel. This is what his cell looked like prior to his escape. There was a painting of himself, lacquered paint, and a walk-in shower. A very comfortable setup that even allowed the criminal, who had been sentenced to 34 years in prison for murder and drug trafficking, to record a few clips for a music video in his honor. The song is entitled The Lion's Ballad. In the song, posted on YouTube, his daughter sings his praises. At the time of its release, the video was seen as a provocation and a humiliation against the authorities. But how did Fito escape?
In reality, he was in custody like all the other prisoners. The following day, when we conducted the roll call, which normally happens at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., and we noticed that he was missing. And we followed the alert protocol. We need to go.
The visit is over. They order us to leave the premises quickly. We are escorted out of the maximum security area. But despite a courteous goodbye, to officially leave the prison, we are forced to negotiate with the management team who are holding our passports. The prison directors are asking for money.
There's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is that it is going to cost $1,000, $100 for each officer.
$1,000, which will be used to bribe the intermediate ranks, each one taking a cut. It's an example of the widespread corruption plaguing the country. All over Ecuador, drug traffickers have succeeded in bribing even the highest levels of state. But since Daniel Noboa's arrival to power, extensive anti-corruption plans have been established.
There is narco-terrorism even among certain government officials. But we are in the process of rectifying this.
Operation Metastasis and the Purge case led to the fall of approximately 50 dignitaries. Among them were prosecutors, prison directors, high-ranking police officers, a chief of military staff.
La operación se deriva del caso Metástasis y entre los aprehendidos consta la expresidenta de la Corte Provincial de Justicia de Guayas, Fabiola G.
And finally, a member of parliament who the police caught in possession of large bundles of cash, lots of jewelry, luxury watches, and dozens of mobile phones. Everyday life across the country was shaken, and the president even imposed a curfew. So now, residents looking for an escape only have a few hours to enjoy themselves. In this salsa club, dance aficionados try to forget the constant violence and fear raging through the country.
At the moment, the curfew starts at midnight and it lasts until 5 a.m.
For the last 2 months, these two young women were too afraid to leave their homes.
We couldn't really go out before. There were lots of murders. We come here to distract ourselves, forget everything that's going on, to go out and have a good time for a little while. I love salsa music, salsa. It's going to close in a minute. It's midnight. It's going to close in a minute. It's midnight. We're waiting for a taxi. Long live salsa and long live Guayaquil.
The curfew may force citizens to go home, but crime doesn't stop after midnight. On the other side of the Guayas River, in the city of Duran, a significant police operation is about to get underway.
They are going to carry out an anti-drugs operation in an estate on the outskirts of Duran. The area is full of conflict and is controlled by drug traffickers.
We meet with Tomas again, the reporter who covers the settling of scores between rival gangs.
There's a helicopter up there. Look, a helicopter. These areas are entirely controlled by criminal groups. I'm actually very surprised that the police would come here.
The area is completely sealed off. We have to show our IDs.
Do we need to get out?
Approximately 100 police officers, supported by anti-drugs units and intelligence agents, are preparing to search the houses belonging to members of Los Choneros, the most dangerous and powerful gang in South America, led by Fito.
Registro policial, estamos interviniendo aquí esta ciudad.
This three-story house is one of the police targets. It is allegedly being used to store drugs. Inside, there are 2 men and 1 woman who could be members of the gang. There is also a child. Drug traffickers often hide drugs, explosives, and weapons in the most unexpected locations. The search is ruthless. Even inside the child's room. There's no room for emotion in the war against organized crime. On his side, the reporter attempts to gather a few reactions from the neighbors.
Oh, we're journalists. I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the operations they are doing? Oh no, I don't know anything. Oh, you can't talk.
Okay.
These people are really scared, really scared. I was surprised when they told me, stop, because if I talk, they'll kill me. And then, thank you, no more.
Even today, 4 people were killed in this neighborhood. The men we were filming were arrested, and several weapons and a load of cocaine were found in another house. But why are drug traffickers so interested in the city of Duran? It's because it's positioned in an ultra-strategic location a mere stone's throw from the famous port city of Guayaquil. The city offers the necessary access for the cartels to export their goods. The traffickers store their drugs inside these huts on stilts before transporting them via fishing boats or speedboats to the port. Duran is extremely dangerous because it's entirely controlled by gangs.
We need to be careful because there are groups of thugs hiding out in those little houses. They are responsible for monitoring the area.
Tomas was right. Our drone is barely out before a motorbike approaches.
This is a little dangerous.
With 2 men on board watching us.
It's a bit tricky around here. The motorbikes are starting to signal to somebody that we are here. It's not very safe for us. They could shoot at our vehicle. These criminal groups are unpredictable. So, let's go.
For years, corrupt officials turned a blind eye to the dominance of the criminal organizations in the city. But a year ago, 1 man decided to resist the trend and stand up against the mafia. 39-year-old Luis Chonillo was elected mayor of Duran in May 2023. We've been wanting to meet him. But since he got elected, the city hall has become a fortified camp. There are police officers and security agents all over the place. What's more, the mayor himself is nowhere to be seen, and rightly so. Since his inauguration, he has escaped 9 attacks on his life.
It's unbelievable that 10 months after his inauguration, the mayor still hasn't seen the inside of his office.
Consequently, the mayor is forced to govern remotely. To meet him, we had to wait until his security team approved our request and sent us the signal. The meeting was set up in a secret location, which was only revealed to us at the last moment. The mayor is escorted into a building where the bomb disposal service is carried out. Our phones must be switched off.
Por favor, no puede ingresar. Sí. Vamos con ella. Hola. ¿Cómo está?
So, that's your helmet and your bulletproof vest. Yes, this is my helmet. I've been wearing this since the attack on the 15th May. On that day, I was with 2 police officers, and one of them died from a bullet wound.
Despite the risks, Luis Chonillo has decided to stand firm against the gangs and continue his duties as
There is a
mayor.
greater cause at stake. If I don't do it, if I'm not here, who will do it? If I don't face the danger, who will? In whose hands will the city end up? That's what worries me most. Duran is a focal point. It's the epicenter of everything that's happening in the country.
Chonillo is thus forced to stay in hiding, constantly on the move. He wants to show us the reality of his city, a city that the gangs would like to keep in poverty, as that is the catalyst for organized crime. Even so, the mayor is fighting to improve the living conditions for the residents. They are redoing the roads, installing water pipes, and providing electricity where previously there was none.
This is the center of Durango. Here, where you can see people, businesses are still going. Some local shops have closed, and some have moved away due to crime. It's a city at war.
The mayor is eager for us to drive past City Hall again, but this time, there's no question of stopping.
How does it feel to drive past it when you should be there? Powerless. I feel powerless because things would be completely different if I was there.
The convoy reaches the fateful junction. The mayor thought that he was going to die here less than a year ago. 92 bullet holes were found on his car. 3 people died in the attack. Following the attack, Chonillo decided to move his wife and his 4-year-old son to safety in the United States. They call each other every day.
Hola.
Do you understand why he wants to remain mayor of Duran? Yes, and I support him because I know that the reward will be so much greater than the sacrifice that he and we are making as a family. How much do you miss your husband? Since I miss him so much, and my son does too. We think of him all the time. But we pray that God protects him and that he gives him strength, and that nothing ever happens to him. Take care. Bye-bye. It's up to us to make sacrifices until everything is back on track here. That's my main goal, to leave everything here in a better state. Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome. I hope it's been useful to you.
A few days later, 3 mayors were killed in Ecuador by hitmen. One of the victims was Brigitte Garcia, a 27-year-old government-elect who was found dead in her car. The day after our meeting with Luis Chonillo, Tomas receives a concerning phone call from the police. A vehicle similar to ours has been targeted.
Mira esta foto.
It happened near to the port of Guayaquil where we were driving around yesterday. It was shot down. They are saying 90 bullet holes, but it's probably closer to 200. This 4x4 looks exactly like our vehicle. It's the same color, the same model. Anything can happen in Guayaquil. Nothing is certain, and this clearly proves it.
We took that as a warning. Just like government officials, judges also have to demonstrate significant courage against this violence to combat the traffickers. A few kilometers north of Guayaquil lies the chic neighborhood of San Borondon. It's the most exclusive district in Ecuador. The country's wealthiest citizens are all grouped together in this mini South American Miami. Even President Noboa's extremely wealthy family lives here. 33-year-old Heidi lives here with her parents.
A Oso y a Liam, porque no es posible que el perro nuevo salga y mis perros de siempre no salgan.
She is a judge at a courthouse in Guayaquil. The young woman is constantly receiving death threats for imprisoning murderers and traffickers. A few months ago, Heidi received a very clear threat from a Mexican cartel.
This statement is intended for Judge Heidi Borja, who seems to think she is incorruptible. If she doesn't get back in line, she will suffer the consequences.
In the letter, the drug traffickers also threatened those close to her.
Think carefully about your next cases. Don't let your family suffer. We know that your sister is in Canada. We know where your parents and your brothers live. We know where you park your car, and we know what your secretary and your clerk's cars look like. They will also pay the price if you continue.
Judges are frequently targeted by criminal groups. So, for the last 16 months, the young woman has been under reinforced police protection.
Mi celular, acá está. La laptop.
Sí, acá está.
Yeah.
2 elite police officers escort her everywhere.
Every time they assassinate a judge or a prosecutor was, of course, that instills fear or panic because the next victim could be me.
2 months ago, one gang wanted to seize her place of work, the court of Guayaquil. The attack was stopped by security guards from the parking lot of the shopping center located just opposite. But they were killed.
Mira, entraron por ahí.
They saw the security guards and they killed them.
Los asesinaron.
Then they carried on. They shot at all the cars. They were clearly trying to target the courthouse, but we had already evacuated the building 45 minutes prior to their arrival.
Since then, security at the courthouse has been reinforced.
Buen día, chicos, buen día. Buen día, chicos.
For Heidi, magistracy is a sacred vocation, a life devoted to the fight against organized crime. But they are lacking resources. The Ecuadorian justice system is overwhelmed.
Let's go to the next one.
5 years ago, to tackle budget cuts, the government of the time even decided to get rid of the Ministry of Justice.
Right now, I'm dealing with a theft charge, and at the same time, I'm handling a traffic violation. This is what needs to change in the system, because working simultaneously on theft, traffic, and red. Murder case. Managing all of this at the same time prevents us from maintaining a specialized justice system.
Heidi has a packed schedule.
Hola, buen día.
She has 3 criminal hearings arranged for this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I am Judge Heidi Borja Hernandez.
The hearing takes place via video conference. This has become the new norm to avoid the risk of escapes during prisoner transfers.
Can you give me a sign to show me you can hear me? Or do you have a problem with the audio? It's essential that you can hear me.
This man is accused of drug possession. Normally, he would risk 5 to 7 years in prison. But Heidi is going to offer him a reduced sentence if he pleads guilty.
According to the negotiation recorded in the minutes, you have accepted a 24-month prison sentence.
These reduced sentencing procedures allow Ecuador to free up the prisons and the courts slightly.
So you admit to the facts for which you pleaded guilty at this hearing. Possession of drugs with intention to supply. Yes, Your Honor, I do. Thank you very much.
Small-time dealers, thieves, armed robbers or hitmen. Since the declaration of the state of emergency in January 2024, 16,000 arrests have already taken place. But drug trafficking continues to plague a significant part of the country. Like the Amazon rainforest, which covers 50% of Ecuador, this impenetrable jungle is the main import route for cocaine stemming from Colombia or Peru. To control the territory, the army has deployed an elite unit unlike any other in the world. We head to Pastaza province, to the north of Morona, Santiago. There we meet with the Iwia soldiers who are known as jungle demons. They are native Indians from the Shuar, Quechua, and Warani communities.
I am Shuar, and my ancestors are of Shuar blood too. We were born in the Amazon. The jungle is our home.
Their mission is to take down illegal drug laboratories and to combat guerrillas. They are also tasked with combating the illegal mines that contaminate the forest and the rivers. But since the declaration of the state of emergency, the government has also entrusted them to take over the Amazonian prisons, including the Archidona prison. We are welcomed in a very official manner by the commander of the troops. The director of the prison, who now no longer has any power, is alongside him in civilian clothes to put on a good show. Members of the National Police and an unarmed prison guard are also present.
Please accept the esteemed greetings of the glorious armed forces of Ecuador, the National Police, the prison security officers, and the director of Napo's top-ranked prison.
Centro de Privación de Libertad número 1, Napo. Sean bienvenidos.
"423 men and 58 women are imprisoned here, with an average of 17 inmates per cell.
They are dangerous. They have been sentenced by the Ecuadorian justice system with sentences of 25, 30, and 40 years in prison.
Ever since the army took control of the prison, the cooks are treated like prisoners. They are thoroughly searched.
Kitchen staff, hands against the wall. Take off your boots.
There are high security procedures in place for meals. During the most recent riots in this prison, the guards were held hostage for 7 days before they were freed by the army.
Cells 1 and 2, get up and get in line. Call out your number and say thank you.
The bowls can now be handed out.
Uno, gracias a Dios. Dos, gracias a Dios. Tres, gracias a Dios.
The soldiers from the Jungle Brigade have created a ritual. The prisoners have to recite a prayer.
Gracias, Señor. Gracias, Señor. Por el pan de cada día. Por el pan de cada día. Bendice los alimentos que me voy a servir. Bendice los alimentos que me voy a servir.
The prisoners don't only thank God, they also thank the authorities for putting an end to the unrest.
Bendice estos alimentos que vamos a consumir hoy.
Buen provecho.
Taking back control of the prisons has allegedly made it possible to reduce insecurity in the towns by 80%. But this new mission has significantly impacted the army's manpower. So the jungle demons are constantly in search of new recruits. At their headquarters, a huge ceremony has been planned for this morning. 200 indigenous soldiers are dressed in their traditional costumes. At the end of their spears sits a trophy, the tsansa, a shrunken head. They are about to welcome a new recruit, but before that, he needs to be freed of any evil spirits. The regiment's shaman takes care of this, along with 2 other Shuar warriors. The healer has brought all his paraphernalia with him.
We make these necklaces. This comes from a plant, and the bones are from a wild boar.
On his head, he wears the fur of a totem animal, which can be conducive to meditation.
This was done lazily.
Inside an anaconda skin, he stores a magic potion.
Inside this bottle, there's alcohol, garlic, and rue, which is known as the herb of grace. It is used to cure children. It is also used to ward off evil spirits, and it helps to cure headaches. We spray it on, and the skin absorbs
The
it.
cleansing of the new recruit can begin.
Welcome to the best school in the world.
Idea. Protect your country, Ecuador.
Armed with their spears, the 2 other soldiers execute a warrior's salute. According to their beliefs, the young recruit is leaving civilization behind to enter into the jungle world and become an Iwia soldier, half man, half animal. This unit, like all other forces in Ecuador, is now more mobilized than ever in the war against the drug traffickers.